So, cats. Oh my. Cats. Okay, Cats broke my brain. Alright? I'm gonna admit that. Cats is one of those films that, I came into this film thinking, okay, you know what? I've never seen the musical, and this looks weird, but I'll give it a shot. I've seen weird films before, like even weird blockbusters. I'll give this a shot. What's gonna happen with this? And I think this film just keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder, that it got to a point where my brain just like broke, like it fell out onto the floor. And I could sense, you could sense this throughout the theater. Like everyone else just lost it. Like they reached a point where we could not hold back our laughter and our awe at this film. And I thought, well, okay, this looks weird and surreal. I don't know if it was when Ian McKellen started hissing or when Judi Dench started rubbing her face on all the other cats. But at some point, I lost my mind. And I thought, well, should I pick up my mind? Should I really try to analyze this more closely? Because this is Cats. This is a weird film. Do I really want to analyze it that closely? And I thought, you know what? This is such a bizarre fever dream of a film. And on that level, I got to admit, in some insane way, I kind of like it. It is a bizarre film. I mean, it's bizarre enough from the very concept. So, like, the concept is, there's all these cats within this, I guess a collective called, like, the Jellicles, who basically every certain night they come to this place to basically sing and dance for a chance to be reborn into a new life. So if I'm trying to like pick up bits and pieces of my brain here to piece this together, and I'm pretty sure like that's what's happening here. Like essentially, this seems like a more musical and crazier version of Logan's Run, is what it seems like to me. Now I thought, okay, well, maybe to explain this better, we do have an audience surrogate here of Victoria, the latest cat who's trying to be inducted into the Jellicles. Victoria is tossed out into the street and runs into all these different crazy cat characters. Victoria here is played by Francesca Hayward. But the thing is, as an audience surrogate, she can't do much except what we do, which is just stare in bizarre awe at all of this, because she's immediately greeted with a musical number. And she's given a little bit of background on, like, the Jellicles and, like, the evil magician Macavity, played by Idris Elba, who's trying to sabotage his way into being chosen as the Jellicle choice, I guess, to ascend to, like, the next level of life, or whatever is implied by that. But then we immediately go into the next musical of establishing another character. And then we get a little bit more Macavity, but then we're immediately into another musical number. And then, before we can catch our breath with that, we're into another musical number. And the musical sequences span all over the map here. There's, like, crazy, like, throwback 80s synth, I guess, is, like, more in, like, tribute to, like, the original Cats musical play. There's some, there's some odd hip-hop. There's some, like, classic Broadway type stuff. There's some classic Golden Hollywood type musical numbers here. And then just kind of like standard opera type stuff, along with lots of different types of dancing here, including a lot of ballet, especially from Hayward. There's quite a bit of ballet with her character. But we got to mention the fact that everyone in this film looks weird. Like I thought, okay, the trailers make them look weird, but I figured, okay, maybe after a while I'll get used to it. Maybe I'll just, after a while, maybe it'll be like Alita Battle Angel. After a while, I won't really care that she has big eyes, and I'll just get used to it, and I can appreciate the story here. I can't, because we keep getting introduced to so many different cat creatures, and they all have different mannerisms and personalities and songs and dance numbers to get to, that there's rarely a moment to like catch your breath and even try to like coherently piece everything together here. So, if I'll say this right off the bat, if you're expecting this film to like, explain exactly what the Jellicle cats are doing and what Victoria's role is in all this, it's not going to help you out. It's just going to zoom right into the next musical number here. There's a lot of bizarre, editing choices and some directing choices here and there. Also, it's this weird uncanny valley where, the characters are, anthropomorphized cat creatures who don't quite look like cats, but don't quite look like humans. And they occupy a world that doesn't quite look real, but doesn't quite look like a stage musical. Like, it looks a little bit, with the exaggerated height of everything to make it look like, they're more, smaller cat-type creatures. But it's just, it's bizarre. And it's like, it's such a fever dream because, and I say this because there are moments in it where I did kind of dig it. I did kind of dig some of the dancing here. I like the fact that both Judi Dench, who's playing the, who's she playing here? They all have such weird names here. The old Deuteronomy, who's essentially the one who chooses the Jellicle cat. She wears this huge fur coat. Everyone adores her, and she speaks in this very soft and like beautiful voice. She's playing it up earnestly. Same goes for Ian McKellen, even though Ian McKellen has to like hiss and meow and clean himself and slurp milk and stuff like that. That it's just, this film is so crazy and bizarre. And it's like, I don't want to say it's going to give kids nightmares like Return to Oz, but someone's going to have a nightmare over this. Somebody is going to be freaked out by this. And I guess, to be fair, I kind of was freaked out by it. But there's something about that over-the-top earnestness where you have, like, this huge budget, like $95 million here, this A-list cast here, these elaborate musical and dance numbers, and it's all just freaking weird and bizarre. Like, it feels like a trashy... It feels like they were making this in the 80s instead of like an overblown, over-the-top, trashy musical. And there's something just so adorable about it. I'm trying to find the best way to say, like, this is like that weird 80s cult film that is just so bizarre, and it's not very good, but you're just drawn to it so much. Like, there's so much of this that doesn't work, but then so much of it that just catches you off guard, and you're just staring at it in just amazement, going like, what is this film? What is happening in this film? And I get a feeling a lot of audiences will be that. They're going to look at this film with just these strange musical sequences and these off-putting characters and this weird atmosphere and this story that doesn't make a lot of sense, and they're just going to be staring in amazement, just looking up at the screen going, why? But it won't answer. It'll just keep singing and just keep going higher and higher with the absurdity and the weirdness and just the strangeness that it feels like you're sick with a fever and you just left on like two televisions, one that's playing like some BBC drama and one that's playing Zoobilee Zoo, and they all mesh together in this weird nightmare that you're not quite sure what to think of. And I kind of like it from like a trashy standpoint. Critics have been kind of savaging this film, but it's sort of like it's sort of like kind of like a weird train wreck, but also because the actors here are not just phoning in their performances here. They're at least trying. Like I said, Judi Dench and Ian McKellen, they're playing it up earnestly. I especially did like the musical sequences with Jennifer Hudson as the tragic Grizabella. She actually does her sequences in particular. She sings very well in the film, and I guess that's because she's really forcing on the whole opera aspect. She does exceptionally well with that. Taylor Swift as I can't pronounce her name correctly. Bomba Ballerina. God, they have such weird names. I think that there's like a whole like system about like cat names, about human names, and what the cats are named, which are very weird. By the way, did I mention this film's weird? that there are sequences in it that I genuinely enjoyed, which kind of makes it almost a guilty pleasure that I don't feel too guilty about admitting that I actually kind of liked it, just for being so bizarre and weird. And yeah, kind of like on a Rocky Horror Picture Show level. I guess I kind of dug the film on that level. So, for Cats, 3 out of 5 stars.